Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Firefighters podcast, where we seek to develop, inspire, and motivate the world of the emergency services operator through a series of wide-ranging conversations. Now, before we go any further, just hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to. It's a key performance indicator for us and helps us reach even more people. Now, here's what we've got for you today. There's a certain type of firefighter who hears the phrase fire behaviour and doesn't roll their eyes. Kind of excites them. You know, the people that don't just reach for buzzwords and have probably never even really done it themselves and doesn't just hide behind a PowerPoint or something like that. They're the ones who want the no nonsense stripped away. They don't want the mythology and the silliness. They're the ones who want to understand what the fire is actually doing. They don't want the slide deck version of what it said it might do. They're the ones who want tactics that work at 3 a.m. when you're hanging out your arse and the theory finally meets reality. There's also a certain type of firefighter who wants fire behaviour explained without ego, without mythology, and without decades of inherited BS. The ones who care about what actually works, not what has always been done. The ones who really want deployable tactics and not just the tidy diagrams. They want to be able to walk into that compartment and feel ready with confidence instead of kind of hoping it does what it said it was going to do. This two-part episode, this is for them. This is for you. And also, before I even introduce today's guests, I need to say, I want to say this openly, I've been directly shaped by their work. I did my first tactical ventilation course, actually in the West Mids. Now, that was after Dave's time was there, but still inside a department that was built on the foundations he and his colleagues have been laying for years. And I've learned from Dave directly, and Iain, at the Fire Service College, sitting through fire behaviour sessions, where they took complex ideas, ripped away the fluff, and rebuilt them into something that's usable on the actual real fireground. I've experienced their clarity, their honesty, and their ability to turn what looks like chaos into something that's teachable. So today I am joined by two men whose influence runs deeper than most people probably realise. Two instructors who have cut their teeth long before lots of new national doctrine, long before tidy diagrams, and long before like flow paths became a term that everyone seemed to use, but probably a few of us, including myself for a longest period of time, really understood. Two people who built, broke, rebuilt, and refined more live fire environments that most firefighters will probably ever step into, to be honest. Dave Payton and Iain Evans are the co-founders and lead instructors at ATTACTICS. And if you've spent any time in the fire behaviour world, you'll already know their names. Both started their careers in West Midlands Fire Service, and both came up through the era of learn by doing and surviving it, really, rather than learn by perfectly controlled simulation, which is sometimes how we do a lot of our teaching here in the UK now. They've taught thousands of firefighters, nationally and internationally, breathing apparatus teams, officers, and they were doing it long before, like I say, modern doctrine really even existed. And now, through Fire Tactics, we'll put a link underneath this, they built something that serves the modern fireground. A company committed to helping services use the facilities they actually have, not facilities they wish they had. They teach breathing apparatus, fire behaviour, tactical ventilation, flow paths, equipment, thermal imaging cameras, smoke curtains, loads of different nozzles, all of that. They teach the good, the bad, the ugly, all the variations that actually happen on real incidents, not the neat classroom versions we sometimes pretend exist. Their work is not about ego. It's taken me ages to get Dave and Iain on. It's not about empire building. It's about leaving the job better than we found it. You know what so many people say. It's about creating firefighters who think, who question, who can adapt, and who can read the conditions, and who can make decisions when the environment is a little bit hostile, a little bit spicy, a little bit fast, and unforgiving. This is a two-part conversation because there's just so many great nuggets in it. So across these episodes, you're going to hear the evolution of UK fire behaviour training, the mistakes we repeated, the techniques we misunderstood, the operational realities we perhaps ignored, and the moments that forced everyone to rethink kind of everything, really. So I've been wanting to get these guys on the podcast for ages. So glad we managed to nail it before the end of 2025. So if you care about fire behaviour, you are in the right place. If you teach fire behaviour, brace yourself. You might feel a comfortable cloak getting whipped away. Maybe not. But hopefully you're left with some ideas, a place to go, a person to reach out to have a bit more of that conversation. And if you ever wonder why things sometimes don't work the way the textbook promised, this will hopefully make sense. So without further ado, it is my tremendous pleasure to finally be able to bring to you Dave Payton and Iain Evans from Fire Tactics. I'll see you on the other side. When did you both start in the UK Fire Service?
So I started retained in staffs at Cannock. Actually set fire to a car I was working on. And then
Before you got the job or after?
yeah, before I was in the job.
Okay.
Set fire to this car, doing some welding with a friend. Interior went up. I'd removed one seat and not the other. This fire engine turned up, and a guy I was working with, it was his brother who was on this retained fire engine.
How old would you have been then?
Early 20s.
Nice. Okay. Fire service never entered your brain before that?
Yeah, it had. Yeah, and I'd been down a few times. And then you sort of go off and do other things, don't you? You get involved with, with what you're doing, earning a bit of money, and and then this fire engine turned up, and I just said to him, I said, "Any jobs going?" He says, "Yeah, they're after people." So
Was that whole time or on call?
that was on call. That was retained. Yeah, it was a day crewing station, and because I used to work late, so I was driving buses at the time, working on a late shift. I used to work during the day, and I basically used to just go up to the station and turn out. It was a busy station at the time, and hang around there all day, pretend I was whole time, and even though I was retired. Yeah.
Used to have a load of people.
But it was a warm place and free tea and coffee, and
What about yourself, Dave? How'd you start?
I went straight in the whole time, West Midlands, 92. I joined. It was not a family thing as such, but my brother was in the West Midlands.
Older brother?
Yeah, he'd been in 10 years or so by the time I got to... I had loads of other jobs first.
How old were you?
22.
22.
Yeah, so I dossed around for a bit, did the usual things. So I'm not going to do what my brother does. I just want to...
He hadn't talked you out of it?
No, he hadn't talked me into it either, really, to be honest with you. But then I got to a point where I thought I'm going to have to do something.
Yeah.
So I actually applied for the Navy to be a helicopter technician
Nice.
and the fire service in the same week. And I had acceptance letters. Exception? Is that what I said?
Yeah. Well,
Acceptance.
do you want to come with the general job?
Yeah. Do I want to join the job for both of them on the same week?
Nice.
So I had a couple of 3 days of deciding, do I go in the Navy or do I join the fire brigade?
How many days have you looked back and gone,
Oh, mate.
was there any?
No, that's a question. There's a lot of times I'm thinking, Well, actually, strange enough, we've got family that live in Mallorca now. They're my wife's family.
Yeah.
And her husband, he's a helicopter pilot. So he teaches other people to fly. And he's got, I believe, he's got a chap that works for him that's, or somebody that does the maintenance on the helicopters.
Yeah.
And you look at it thinking, oh, that could have been me. I could have been me.
My brother-in-law was in the RAF, and he was a weapons navigator or something like that on the Harriers. And I just think, God, that's cool as shit.
Yeah.
Then he got made redundant when they scrapped the Harrier programs, and then he retrained as a paramedic. And that also, honest, total transparency, like if I hadn't started the podcast thing, I'm not sure I wouldn't have left the fire service a little while ago, because I've been through some bits from like, you know what, this is just annoying, the politics is stupid.
Yeah.
And he was a demonstration of, he was RAF through and through, he's got it on his walls, he's got the big sabre on the mantelpiece and medals and all that jazz, and he got married to my sister in his uniform. But he's transitioned into another career now, and he's been a paramedic for like 5 or 6 years. Loves it, does lots of travelling around regions, doing all the training, and you go, how much are we married to our identity of being a firefighter? I'm a firefighter. Especially with you guys, you've been all over the world and you've done so much training, so much everything. You're like, this is 80% of my personality. For some, and then that's when you see people retire, and it's like that death of an identity, isn't it? Like, if I'm not a firefighter, who am I? Everybody knows I was an on-call firefighter first, and then I'm wrapped up in this thing.
Yeah.
And
It's all consuming, there's no doubt about that. Yeah. But I was similar to yourself. So on station, I did 15 odd years as a firefighter. I didn't really want rank at all. Yeah. I got the opportunity to go into training. It was a 6-week secondment to go in to do actually recruits training. It wasn't BA related. It was just 6 weeks to go recruit. So after that 6 weeks, it turned into 15 years of stage. It did actually. But it was like a new lease of life. It was something I'd not thought about. So you moved to the training side of it. And then that opened up. I moved from the recruits into the BA department, and then that opened up over the last 15 years or 15, 20 years. So many opportunities. Yeah. So I'm glad I did
more of that. It's like secondments and trainings. We don't do much of them anymore.
Yeah, I think it did.
We should.
I think I was the same. I got offered, that chance to come in and cover for a guy who was in training. Just had his second child, and that was the same. It was an 8-week temporary, into training, do this, and then I never left.
I think there's an argument for both sides of it. One is, I've got to pay a lot of money for your instructor qualifications, and I want to make sure I get my money out of you. So you see in a lot of services now, you're locked in for like 2 or 3 years, which I don't think actually a thing, you know, and they're like, well, you've got the job, you can't move out. I'm like, well, that's bollocks, because you can write it in the contract all you like, but you can't make me stay.
You can't make me stay, no.
I think that's one of those where it's like, the rank just intimidates you, and we go, you're agreeing for 3 years. Right, if I take that to the union, I'm leaving. I'm going to go back on station. You can't stop me.
But they can make it awkward.
Oh, yeah. And I've been there, mate. I was in for a couple of years, and we'll talk about how I ended up getting kicked out of it. But we actually spoke about it before we started. It was all related. But I get that you invest a lot of money in the instructor, but there's also a balance. There's a couple of guys in the organisation that I work for who have been in training a long time, and past a certain point, and recruits have said it, they're like, they admire or they sort of revere the operational firefighters, crew managers, watch managers, because they're like, yeah, but just heard so-and-so at Red Watcher went on a job last week. What do you know about it? Well, the training instructor knows nothing about it because they haven't been on the truck in 10 years or something like that. So it's a balance between authenticity, but also standardization, because the problem is the three of us go in and run a recruits course. It's between the three of us, there's 6 versions of how we're going to run it at least. But I think there's a balance for it. Like when I was in Manchester, they've got 70 people in their training department. They've got 10 admins and something like 60 instructors. Now, I don't know if they are doing the roll on, roll off. I hope they are. But part of me wants to see more of that. That's why I like so much the secondments that you used to see back to the college. People that go there for a year, and they go back in the service, and they get that kind of balance. But
I think so. And it is finding that balance, isn't it? It's finding that little bit where, you know, I know from my position now that I know that much from what I've done in training that I'd be a totally different firefighter. Operationally, because the knowledge I've gained. But what I haven't gained in training is, as much as we try and replicate it, is the experience of an operational job.
I was about to say, because you create a utopia in training, don't you, where you're like, well, I'm setting up the scenario, I've done the lesson plan, I've done this, and this is how it's going to go. But it's the old Mike Tyson, you know, no plan survives first contact. Everyone's got a plan till they get punched in the face.
That's
and
right.
you guys probably see it all the time, where you get someone come from a different organisation to the different places you've worked, and they go, Dave, or I was thinking about ABC and XYZ, and you're like, well, that sounds wonderful. But it's not going to work on the incident ground, because when that hits reality, that's not what they do.
And that is in itself is a problem, isn't it? Because we're trying to try and inspect, if you like, and not to what they're going to have to do. And for years, me and Iain have been saying this in the same way when we're in West Midlands, we're speaking to people and saying, like, do you actually, so let's use Gascoigne as an example. The last job you went to, we'd ask people on the trucks, last job you went to, do you actually do any Gascoigne? No, I don't do any of that. Shit.
Depends who's around.
And you go, but why not? I say, well, because he didn't need it. And you go, well, why didn't he need it? Well, I just didn't, did it? And they sort of go, well, okay, so we're training you to this methodology, and saying you have to do this short pulse or this whatever. Yet we know actually what's happening on the ground is not, isn't that. So in the middle, we need to find out where the middle ground is, what the actual firefighters are on the ground are comfortable with, what's working for them in what circumstances, and then adapt the training to say whether that technique that they're using is a viable technique or whether it's actually going to at some point cause more problems than it solves. And we need to find that, and that's the tricky bit, is finding the middle ground between operational incidents and training itself, is to try and get the two to dovetail. It's very difficult.
I saw one of the most purest examples of what you're saying there when I saw some direct entry station managers going through the decision control process. And they were having their level 2 command course, and they were going through it, and they were being shown the decision-making model and all this sort of jazz. And they were doing some role play, and they're going through it. But they get into a decision vortex quickly, because they, step. So tell me about so from my tactical plans, I'm going to I think I'll go for this. Well, actually, I mean, how many crew have we got? And they go, okay. And then talk about it. Before you know it, this next person's come up with another inject. And they're like, okay, it's spread to this compartment. And they're like, oh, fucking hell, right. Well, actually, you're never going to get all of that utopian information. I always say to them, like, you'll get to about 70%. And then you've got to go with what you got. And then it was, but what if, and what if, and what if, and what if, and what if a fucking rocket hits the building? Do you know what I mean? We've got to decide what's practical in the scenario. MSA are supporting us on today's podcast, and I chose to partner with them because I've been wearing this stuff for nearly 20 years, and they are the global leader in development, manufacture, and supply of incredible, safe products that really protect people, not just our communities out there, but also first responders, most importantly, all over the world. Get yourself over to MSA and have a look at it. The high-performance protective clothing for emergency services responders. They also partner with us on the UK Pink Firefighters. It's because we love them. The helmets with the reflective visor, the F1XF, absolutely epic helmet. And not forgetting how they improve firefighter safety through their connectivity in the connected firefighter platform. MSA are always pushing the envelope, and it's a real privilege to be able to continue to grow our partnership together. So whether it's your PPE, your bunker gear, your helmets, your SCBA, your thermal imaging, your Luna, or your portable gas detection, both of us know that this equipment needs to work. It needs to be high quality, reliable, and dependable in the moment. And that's why I use MSA, because they know what's at stake.
And that's the same with our guys. Like, you teach them perfect procedure and all this sort of stuff, and you go, well, if we do all of that, it's going to take you 7 minutes before you're even through the front door.
Exactly.
That's what you're
That's
faced with.
not going to work, is it?
No.
You know, how many times are you going to have to do it? Yeah. I wanted to ask, because you guys have done so much since you started, what was your initial training like? So the first time you interacted with fire behaviour, or if it was just called BA back then, you know, like, what did it look like? What scenarios were you put through? And what were you told about, this is the way to do it, Iain? This is what you need to do.
Well, we had at our training centre, we had some, actually at the training centre, a gas-fired rig.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, my skill on the branch was against the person's skill on a button.
Yeah.
And whether I did it right or not.
Yeah.
It was-
it looks all right, knock it off.
It was on the first floor, because we did the same when fire behaviour came in West Midlands. I'm not going to mention the names of the instructors, but they'd all gone off to Sweden. They picked up the Swedish way of firefighting, the gas cooling 3D model, that sort of thing. They'd come back, and they'd done what every UK instructor does, have bastardised it into an English version of what they thought they understood. So in our...
And we'll caveat all this with, we'd have done exactly the same if we'd have been, and you know, we're not looking back at people going, oh, they're stupid. Or, that's not what we're saying. We're saying they had given these tools and they tried to crowbar it into the round pegs.
We did do it. You know, when we first entered training, this was how we trained. You walk into training brand new, so to speak, and you follow an example of someone who's more experienced, been there longer, done more.
It was their interpretation of what was being taught in Sweden, and you can't. It's their interpretation, and to be honest with you, yes, not belittling anybody. It was that was what we did. Yeah. But it looked like, essentially, it was on the first floor. There was a bed and like a big gas grill that goes over the top. So basically, So basically, it said was we'd enter the room, we'd lie on our back, actually, and then we'd put a litre of water per square metre of the ceiling, and we'd drag ourselves across the room. We'd come across a casualty.
Yeah.
We'd put the bed out, grab the casualty, and come back again. Which for us was the first time we'd had anything like that. So it was, we all piled down to Smedic. We did this bit of training. To be honest with you, looking at it thinking, well, it was some training. I didn't dislike it.
No. What was the line? I remember the line on the back thing, because Dave actually said it in his podcast, where he was like, so they'd say, when you see the backdraft coming, what you're going to do is you're going to roll on your back, as though you're going to see it coming, like when you see it wandering down the hallway, lads, it's just down there. So everybody on the back, before they realise getting on your back is a shit show and something done. Exactly. And then it's going to roll over you, and you're going to do this. And then you're going to get up and you're going to carry on until you see another one, like it's Pac-Man. Like they're coming down one at a time. You see one,
that was exactly.
You're going to get down. You're going to do this.
That's what it is, and it was very because I think it's still, you know, the essence of it is still there in a lot of training we do. It's very scripted.
Yep.
You know, that we've got to go through whatever your assessments are, or whether you're doing training, that there's so many sections that we've got to go through, and this is going to happen here, and that casualty is going to be there, and that, you know, that rollover is going to happen there. If we've got control, if it's a gas rig, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
And I think going back to when you're faced with, you know, the live thing, the real thing operationally, you suddenly become, well, I've done exactly, because something happened in front of me, what I've been trying to do, and it didn't work that time, and that gets, there's a memory of that. So what have I got now? What have I got? And it's where you enter that little bit of panic mode. You don't want to, But you went to that little bit. I remember a job going to where it was thick black, really hot, and I'm putting these pulses in, and it's not getting any better. I haven't had, for me at
That was
time,
a special fire, though. That was a different.
Yeah. Well, perhaps it was. It was my special fire. But what I ended up doing there was gone against completely what I'd been trying to do with it, which was enter that little bit of panic mode, open the branch.
Bollock a shitload of everything until it goes away.
Oh, it's too wide. I'm getting all this round me. I'll, narrow it, spray it everywhere. Yeah.
Panicking now.
Yeah, and you do, don't you? And you enter that, but that becomes a memory, and it's something that stuck with me when you do go into training. That okay, we're still teaching this, but I know that I've never used as much of that, and you're torn between I should be doing this, but what I really want to look at is that other thing.
Someone gave me a firefighter I was with the other day. He was a semi-professional boxer, and he was giving me an analogy. Where it was like, I remember my first coach used to say, what you do is you'll go 1, 2, 1 to the body, and then you'll knock them out with this. And it was like, never fucking worked because I'd do that. And then there's, it was a kickboxer as well. They'd just kick me or whatever. And I just didn't see this other thing coming. So what were you using back then? So was it PSS 90s, manual sets, and what kind of hose lines were you using? You said there was gas rigs. I'm assuming there was a lot of synthetic smoke being pumped in somewhere as well. Or...
Yeah. They were all gas rigs at the time, weren't they? We had live fire houses, but for fire behaviour, we were doing it on gas rigs when it first appeared.
Yeah.
Then we had some units built.
Yeah.
But we were on 22s or 25. 22s, weren't they? Hose wheels.
On the hose reels, 19s. We had to
19?
start with, yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was bigger than that.
No.
Oh, well, there you go then. It's been a long time, mate.
Yeah,
No, a long time ago.
Yeah.
I thought they were bigger than that.
No,
but yeah, we're
still.
using 19 mils and usual stuff.
So you had your initial training, arrived on your stations, and what was you've alluded to there, your first interpretation of when training hits reality, and because you get that, you arrive on the watch, and the watch manager goes, look, forget what you've been told. What you want to do is A, B, C, and X, Y, Z. And on our crew, we tend to stow the truck like this.
Yeah,
because actually we go to a lot of these, or we live in a rural area, or we're in a city station, so we go hard and aggressive.
For,
and we
for
go,
me, it
fuck
was
that door entrance,
those sort
we
of things.
just do this.
Yeah, it was. You get a new initiation into something completely different.
Yeah.
What did they show you on training? Or show me this? No, we don't do it that way here. This is and you got these little clusters of these stations all work together in this area, and this is how we do it.
How panicking do you think that is for a recruit when they've not an illusion, nothing at all, but they've been given a sense of confidence in training. They've gone, I've worked really hard. They've screamed and shouted at me. I've done press ups. They've made me do this thing, and I've pretty much nailed it. They've said I've passed.
Yeah.
And I've come here, and you've just ripped a carpet away from me and said the thing you thought you were good at, forget it.
Yeah.
And now, the bells have just gone down on your jump.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean? You're going, just follow Dave. We're going to put you with Dave. We'll put you with Iain. Just follow him and don't fall down a hole.
It is quite unnerving. You get put in that situation where you do, like you say, you've maybe come out as confident as you came out, whether you were Silver Axe or someone at the bottom. It doesn't matter. When you turn up on station to the people on that station.
No one cares you got the Silver Axe.
No, you just...
No one cares.
Well, to be fair, you didn't want it really because...
Oh, Jesus.
So if you were the grey man right in the middle of the course, then, you've done all right. But you turn up there, but you're hit with some of that where you're not quite as confident, but you get brought into this fold where they might take the piss a little bit, and they might, but there's definitely a load of experience there.
If you're humble enough to listen.
Yes, exactly. You run around, do everything you're told to do, be the first of this, that, and the other, and so you sort of ingratiate yourself into that watch, and then you find that you're getting looked after and you're getting shown.
You very quickly realise that your training actually starts then.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah,
1,000%.
That's when it kicks in really, because you're taking information from people who've got a lot of experience at the time. And when I first went on station, it ranged from a chap who'd come out of training school 12 months before me, right the way up to a bloke who got about 9 months before he retired. And strangely enough, actually, the chap I went in, my very first job with, Billy Mitchell, bless him, it was a masonette type affair, and we were on a 45 mil with a A-type branch. And he's going, I'll tell you why we don't do any of that stuff. Have a look at this. And he opened the front door up and he put one up at the ceiling to bring the ceiling down. He took one down the other end of the corridor. Job done. And he's like, again, that's the way we do it. And and like you say, but I was sat there thinking, hang on a minute, people are telling me I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And actually...
Until you go back for your reaccreditation, they go, when you go back to training...
Sure, well, they also make sure you do it their way. And you're like, what? But you can't argue. I couldn't argue with Bill because it was a live.
Yeah, we're kinesthetic learners. Monkey see, monkey do.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's like, you did that worked. Well, I'm going to do that then.
Yeah.
Because the thing I did before, it was in a gas rig, and it was instructor over my shoulder kept interrupting me every 7 seconds, and I was like,
it was somebody's interpretation. You know, we're clever enough to understand that. Like Iain says, am I doing enough to impress the bloke on the button or turn the fire off?
Yeah.
In this case, this bloke did it.
Yeah.
Nobody's turning that fire off.
He was wild.
He did it. So I go, right, I'm going to go with what he said. And it stuck with me to a degree, even when we moved on. When I first joined, we weren't doing fire behaviour as it is now. That sort of came halfway through our career, didn't it?
Okay.
Firefighters, police officers and first responders are now stepping into environments wired with more high voltage than ever before. Everything from electric vehicles to solar panels feeding direct current through compromised structures, overhead power lines and illicit drugs factories with improvised lethal bypasses. Any single strike in the wrong place in this type of environment can turn things fatal very quickly. And that is exactly why we've partnered with Jafco. You already know who Jafco are. They have been relied upon for decades for sturdy, get-the-job-done equipment, and they are not resting on their laurels. They are evolving to face the challenges first responders are handling today through their insulated tool range. These are purpose-built for the scenarios where contact with hidden electrical hazards isn't just possible, it is increasingly likely. Their insulated tools are engineered for real-world abuse and use, designed to keep firefighters, police officers, and all first responders alive in environments where electrification is outpacing policy, equipment, and training. And you know this. This is the kind of innovation our sector needs and the kind of investment organizations should be stepping up to support if we are serious about protecting first responders from fatal consequences. So a massive thank you to Jafco for backing the podcast and backing the crews on the ground. Go check them out, learn what they're doing, and bring that conversation into your service, because this isn't about the future, it's about right now.
Our training concentrated on guidelines and searching. So we were free searching, so your first crew would go in with some sort of hose, whatever case that was, and every crew that went in behind them was basically free search. So we went as a team, and we didn't have to take hose with us.
Really?
No.
Nice.
The secondary crews never did.
Well, I think Manchester is what, I don't know, I keep praising them, but I spend a lot of time there in Lancashire and a few other places. They've got in their procedures where the second, third crews don't need to, as long as there's something between you and the fire. But a lot of people are very nervous about that concept.
Well, what we've done is we've gone back on ourselves, because that's exactly what it used to happen. I'll give you a bit of an example. You can keep this in or take it out if you like.
No.
We were lucky enough, we've been in training for a while, me and Iain, and a bunch of us, there were 9 of us in the PA department in West Midlands at the time. We got given some underground tunnels at Longbridge. And it was like a big U-shaped underground tunnels. It didn't go anywhere. It's just, and the central point was, the entry point was in the middle of it. Yeah. And they allowed us to burn down these tunnels. It was absolutely, it was fantastic. So we had
the insulation in there.
It was something else. So we had a fire down either leg, didn't we? Oh man, we were burning some stuff.
Which is effectively what we've recreated a lot of our boxes now.
It was in a concrete tube underground.
Yeah,
concrete was spoiling everything. It was fantastic. But we had 15 odd machines and stuff turn up into it.
Yeah, there was a fair few there. Yeah.
And we found out very quickly, for us that were down there, us instructors that were down the other end, keeping the fires going, there was no appearance of any firefighters with any water at any point.
Okay.
Right, for the whole exercise going on, you're thinking, well, is anybody actually going to come down here? Because I'm running out of stuff to put it on. And nobody appeared. And it turns out when we come to the debrief, what was happening was they would send a crew in with a 45. They would get so far, because it was physically demanding to do that. They would get so far, and then they would withdraw them, and now, of course, they have to come out with that hose reel or that 45. Yeah. Another crew would come along, pick up the hose reel, and they'd get to the same fucking point. Yeah. So you're getting to the same point over and over again.
Yeah.
So I remember asking on
teams of 2.
Yeah, teams of 2 or 4 sometimes. So I sort of asked on the debrief and got shot down for this. I remember saying, why are you not sending a relief crew up the hose? So as long as somebody's on this branch, this end, they should have, what they've travelled through, they should have protected.
Yeah.
So we send a relief crew up, they pick up the house from there, and then they can continue and advance, which is what we used to do when I was at training school. That's what I was taught to do. And because they're going, no, you can't send anybody into a smoking environment without their own water.
Okay.
So, and I'm
Cases
thinking,
another seat of fire, Dave.
well,
Down this single tunnel that's no doors on it.
but we've got to look at, we've put 15 crews or 15 to 16 BA crews into this incident, and nobody's been anywhere near either of the
Really
fires.
made any advance on it.
Yeah.
So what does that?
And that's where you just go, the math ain't math in here. It might all be safe, but at the end of the day, we're not getting their job done.
We're not done anything. They're
Yeah.
thinking, oh, we're putting people after people after people through the door here, and none of them are doing anything.
Yeah.
And yet the people that are in charge on the fire ground can't even see the same problem. If I'd like to think that if it was me, they're going, right, why are we not gaining any?
Well, training is the place to fail safely as well. If you go, well, this isn't working today, but it's not actually a live incident.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, let's try this instead.
Yeah.
Because we're clearly making no progress.
Yeah.
And we'll take this as a learning debrief and feed it back into the ops assurance and see what comes out the sausage machine.
Yeah, but then that's a big process, isn't it, of going round a big circle for that information to come round, and you think, well, we've got 15 appliances there at that incident, but the other 60 odd that are out there.
And you have to
Another
imagine
10 or
those 15 crews driving back, debrief going, I didn't fucking work, did it? The managers are going to go back and go, successful exercise. No one got hurt. Everyone fit and well.
Yeah, everybody enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that. You're thinking, I enjoyed it.
Did the training team get that wrong? Or did we get it wrong?
Yeah.
Or what did we do if we had one of them next week? I guess we...
Well, and that is the point, is it not?
It is,
that you're trying for these things for just in case you get them next week.
Yeah.
Now, surely the lessons from that are there should have been something come out that says, right, in this instance, if Manchester are doing it, fantastic.
Yeah.
If I was in charge, and I'm not anymore, so I can say this, I, hand on heart, would have put what we used to call relief crews down there.
Yeah.
I'd have briefed the crew forward and said, right, pick up this hose,
Just
go down the end,
keep pushing those.
find the bloke on the end of it or the woman on the end of it, whichever the case may be. Take the hose off, take the branch off them and send them back down this hose and then advance. I need to make some advancement on what's burning down here.
Never is long. I'd just keep leapfrogging them. So people on the hose keep feeding halfway down. I don't care if you've got 4 people on it.
Yeah.
Just you're all in contact with it. You've all got,
Exactly,
that compass, that sort of landmark is your hose. And just keep rolling it and just get it down there. It needs to make progress.
Yeah, because the quicker you get it down there and you start to put some water on the stuff that's creating the hazardous environment for you, then everything starts to get a bit easier, doesn't it?
So that was one example where you thought the math isn't math in here. So you both joined training at a similar time?
I was in a bit before.
You were in, Dave was in a year or two before I went and joined.
What did you have to go through as an instructor then? You joined the training department. We're going to send you on what? Where did you go to learn how to be an instructor?
So we did our in-house.
Yeah, we did
in-house stuff.
Okay.
So we did qualifications. Yeah. So you went on a proper in BAI, FBTI, PPVI. I think
my
they were
FBTI
combined.
was outreach. So the college came to West Midlands, and it was delivered on our facilities at Birmingham Airport. It was my
Was
FBTI.
there any? Wow, this is. I sort of imagine there was a few moments in there where you're like, "This is really good." Like we've never shown any of this on.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
There's,
It's all new stuff to you, isn't it?
it was all brand new.
Who was the goat back then before you two? Who was the
Only struck
person where you were like, Jesus Christ, he's a salty old firefighter. He's a good one. Who led the court? Remember?
Castleton.
No, it was a chap perhaps from the college. It was a Merseyside fella.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it wasn't memorable.
In a minute.
Left an influence.
They're now good with names.
And you did, you because it was your initial course, you took...
Yeah.
You took to a degree what they were saying was...
Of course. You know no different.
So you go, I'll take this.
They've got experience.
Yeah. He's had this from somewhere else, and this obviously must be what we've got to do. So that's what we're going to do. And it's not until... And this is a problem with instructor courses to a degree. And as we were talking about earlier on about saying about people who are only in departments for 2 years or 3 years and then they roll them out. I took what I was told in my instructor course as gospel, which you would do. So I took it. 2, 3 years, 4 years later, when you sat in with people in these units and you look at things, actually, that's not done what they said it was doing.
Yeah.
And
But you still got to say to them, yeah, that's good. Keep going.
But then
and you look at them going,
I'd come out and speak to other instructors. I go,
Yeah.
have a look at this. The next time when he go, no, you're right. No, that's shit in it. And then we you know what I mean. So then you start to question some of the other things. And I think if you've only got people in instructors' roles, for 2 years, they just get to the sort of inquisitive point of thinking, I'm not 100% sure this is what we're...
Well, that's the thing,
And then we're kicking them out onto station. Yeah. And your next one comes back in and he will take for gospel for whatever the next bloke
of course
says.
Yeah.
So you're always perpetually in the same problem.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't a slight on the college at all as any such, but I did my course in 2009.
2009?
It was about 20 years ago. When I got my last 3 years with West Midlands, I was seconded to the college as an instructor, lead instructor for breeding apparatus. I sat in on a...
How did they work? Were they advertised to NFCC back then and you would just get one? Or because some people listening now, I don't want to make assumptions to the listener. The college didn't used to be owned by so Capital bought the college a while back.
Yeah.
Before that, it was effectively funded by local government and all the services collectively. Yeah. And you would get tokens, wouldn't you? Whereby you could send, so my belief was from, I was told, each service would buy a token and they would send recruits there and they'd get batches that they could send to the college. And as part of the agreement, they would also second an officer of some form and they would be there for a year, 2 years, 3 years. And that would be paid back into the service, similar to how National Resilience does it now. If you go and work for them, they're back paid.
I think that's how it works. I mean, when
when services were bigger and they had capacity to send an officer for a period of time, because you don't see any of this anymore.
No.
I think there's one left. I think
Stephen Luke's the only one.
He's still, I think he's the only one.
He is, yes. But I was the only one at the time. He took over from me.
Yeah. So anyway, back then.
So I was Capita. So anyway, I started there as a seconded instructor on this thing, and they sit me in on an instructor course. And the first one I sat in, because these are where I was going to be taken over, the first one I sat in was a 5BM instructor's course, believe it or not. So I sat at the back, let the instructor do his bit. And it was exactly the same as I had.
Okay.
Exactly the same. Bear in mind,
did that fill you with confidence, or did you go?
Bear in mind, I'd had mine about 20 years before that.
Yeah. Well, some people go, yeah, but fire doesn't change, mate. So it doesn't change.
No, but the criteria as such, if you like. Now, this isn't the college's fault in any shape or form, because the instructor that was delivering is a very good one, a very good friend of mine as well. He was delivering what the college had agreed with Skills for Justice at the time as being the way to deliver that course for the assessment process. You know how it works, don't you?
Yeah.
So they were delivering what they thought was right at the time. So you've got to ask the question, if they're still delivering the same thing 20 years after, is that an issue with the criteria that we're looking at for an instructor in fire behaviour now, as well as everything else? Should we still be doing the same thing? I don't think so.
There's people do say, well, fire not changed. And I go, okay, but the equipment's changed. The thing that's on fire has changed. Technology's changed. Buildings have changed. The layouts have changed.
There's a lot of things changed.
Yeah.
Therefore,
and our understanding
fire is similar, but the dynamics of the entire thing.
Your environment is different.
The environment is different. And therefore, it is different.
Yeah, and the equipment that you use is different. So therefore, surely your instructor courses and everything else should have changed alongside it.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be. Sorry.
All right.
No, I'm not going to answer it.
But the principles bits were the fun bit. I remember sitting in, you delivered one in the classroom.
Yes.
When I was on my course there. That bit's really fun. Now, for some people that aren't as nerdy, won't be interested in the chemics and the chemicals and the physics and the chemistry element of it. Do you agree those bits are still fundamental when we talk about fire growth patterns and the tetrahedron and the flammability lifting?
I'll throw it back because you sat in one of mine.
Yeah. And is it all relevant still? Do we care?
Well, it is this part of the question I'm going to ask you, I suppose. We swing it back the other way. But I sat in one, or you sat in one that I delivered. I tend to try and pitch it at firefighter level, if you know what I mean. I don't go into the molecular breakdowns and free radicals and all those other things. I can do if you want me to.
Yeah.
Where I'm not going to say I can't see any relevance, because there is a relevance to it. is there a need for all instructors to understand it at that depth to be able to pass on tactical knowledge to other firefighters? And I don't think there is. No. There's a question for you. You sat in mine.
I really enjoy it, but that's just because in the job that I used to do before, we did a lot of physics. I worked in a factory and it was around steam pressure and how we cooked meat. It was the dog food factory. So I was interested in how steam behaved in tubes, and we had a lot of metrics to measure it and stuff like that. But I compare it between like Carol Lambert and John McDonough when they do their difference. You know, Carol will say, as much as you want to get romantic about it, it's just chemistry and physics. And I'll probably bastardize, I'll probably also misquoting him there. But that is true. But the John analogy and how I interpreted John when I would deliver courses, I'm like, I'm not interested in the molecular makeup of marmalade. I'm interested, can you open the jar? You know, don't tell me the biology of banana. I want to see you fucking peel it. Do you know what I mean? So it's nice to know that bit, but a lot of that stuff's already happened before we get there. What I think we should understand is physics, because physics helps us understand water, which is air, which is flow patterns, which is...
I think that's the important stuff you need to
I think you should get that bit. So you've got to meet someone, but like you said, pitch it at firefight level, because I think for a student, I think the worst instructors take a student from where they're not to where you want them to be. You've got to meet someone where they are. A student's like you're trying to find them in the fog. You go, right, I know where you are now, because if I go, you understand how a dam works? And you go, no, start with water is wet. We'll start water is wet. So we'll start with water is wet. There's no point me starting at 7 and going to 12 if you're at 3.
Yes.
I've got to come back to 3. So that long-winded answer for me is just to say, I think we should give people familiarization. I think a lot of that could just be written. The person can read it at their own leisure.
I agree.
I would want to start more at this is how we peel a banana. Do you know what I mean? Because that's deployable. That's going to be useful to you. And as recruits call shrink and shrink, I was talking to, we've got John Smith, Commissioner of London, coming on, and their courses, I think, are down to 8 weeks now, and they're doing less. I think they've knocked recruitment on the head for a little while, to be honest with you. But anyway, you know, when I joined, it was maybe 14 weeks. And how long was training course when you joined?
17, mine was.
Yeah,
17. Do you know what I'm saying?
15 or not.
And not to go off on a tangent, but like we look at some of the recent fatalities around, some of them have been related to construction and building fundamentals.
Yeah.
I think we've largely taken a lot of that out. It used to be in the IFEs. We don't make people do IFEs now. And I'm like, well, how's someone going to understand building construction now and timber and sacrificial timber and the strength and cubicle expansion and all this sort of jazz? They at least need to know something about it. You can't just have one slide that says, stand at the corner of a building in case it collapses. Do you know what I mean? But we've got to turn them out faster. People are leaving at a faster rate. Sorry, I don't want to take us off on a ramble. But yeah, I think we need to know some of it.
Yeah.
There may have been some people in the room that went, fucking hell, Dave, when we're going outside. You know what I mean? There will have been those people that
but we've already said, and people learn different ways, don't they?
And most people that come into fire, we are kinesthetic learners.
Yes, exactly that. And I think
that's how before. We want to do things with our hands. We're not so much academics. You know what I mean?
And I think it's tying it all in, isn't it? You can start off with the theory stuff and say, this will have some relevance, maybe not quite now, but understand these bits of it. And then when we get to the practical element and you've got your hands on a branch and you're faced with an environment that we've set up for you, some of that stuff will come into its own here. It will help your understanding by seeing, feeling, doing.
And that's always my feeling with the podcast. Dave, before we go out, you said, oh, Pete, I listened to some of it, some Fire Baby, some of it's shit. Some of it is, so it's different.
I never said that.
No, you didn't. But for me, like, we did an episode recently, or I did a standalone foundation episode, and it was just about units of measurement. And I spoke all about meters and inches and pascals and all this sort of stuff. And some people went, oh, it's great because I never told any of that. But some people, my dad was a builder, so I learned on a building site, and he dragged me around sizing up jobs at night, and he talked to me about arches and this and that. And he was also a Cub Scout leader, so some of that would have been irrelevant to me because I already knew it.
Yeah.
But if you're joining and you've been an accountant for the last 10 years, you go, I haven't got a fucking clue what a yard is. I don't know what a bar is. I don't know what these things are. So, you've got to be able, if the different students in the audience have a third why, you've got to be able to go with them to the third why.
Yeah.
You can't just go there and then they go, yeah, I'm with you. Well, you would be with me because you've just come from building trade. Or you were in the military.
You were there already.
So you're here. So, it's a challenge, isn't it? But
it is.
In those courses then, in your 17 weeks, how long did you guys spend on the water is wet, and how long did you spend on this is the Bernoulli principle, and this is what you need to understand about pitot tubes and fluid dynamics.
None.
Do you know what I mean? None.
We had some fluid
Were
dynamics.
you a shit firefighter because you didn't learn it?
Because we'd have we had stuff about frictional loss in your hose and all that sort of things, which was in the fire service manual from years ago.
Yeah,
pump pressure, that sort of things. As regards fluid dynamics and all the rest of it, no,
okay,
it just wasn't part of it.
yeah.
Water's wet,
Water's wet.
none of that.
Wet stuff on the hot side.
Doesn't matter where you really put it, just put it towards the fire. That'll be all right. It'll be all right. And that was pretty much the way it was. And as I say, to be honest with you.
Quick pause, because I want to tell you about a new partnership we have with First Tactical. First Tactical builds equipment for people who work when environments are seriously unforgiving. And if you go to their website, you'll find kit is designed specifically for us, for firefighters, for police officers, technical rescue teams, fire investigation, hazmat, hazardous materials teams, urban search and rescue. This is honestly the equipment that you really want to rely on. It's built for real operations, real pressure, long ass days, and I genuinely use this stuff. Here's a few of my favorites. They've got their men's Defender short sleeve. I've got that in black. It's got a huge load of specialized pockets, space for all of our gears, the pads, the pens, all of the stuff. It's got them on the sleeves on both sides. Also got the Defender pants. These have got 28 pockets in total on them. It's mad. Let's be honest, we absolutely love the bags. I use their 25-litre specialist half-day backpack. The shoulder straps as well are strong AF. Like I say, this isn't lifestyle gear. It's built for real world, real operations. We talk about the realities of the job, and First Tactical is just the ideal partnership for us. So go take a look, firsttactical.co.uk. Now back to the show.
The bulk of my breeding apparatus training, if you like, when I was at training school, was all around searching and guidelines. That was all it was about.
Guidelines, Jesus. I've only seen them taken out in the last 3 to 5 years, and a lot of service discussion. Did you ever use them operationally? Either?
No.
Once, and I don't think we actually needed them.
I used them once in a hospital just to help us, and it wasn't even because it was a smoky environment, just the complexity of trying to find out where we were going.
Trying to find where the seat is.
Wasted a lot of time here, people getting lost. So I'll tell you what, just throw a guideline, and everyone was like, oh God, does that mean we've got to go to BA main control now? And it was like, it's just going to put a guideline in because we don't know where we're going.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you both went to the college, as it was then. You were on a secondment. You started, I imagine, getting experience with a lot more organisations because you've gone from training in West Mids with West Mids to I'm at the college, I'm speaking to services from all across the UK.
Yeah, it was that was a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah.
Because it exposes you to, you become all brigades are the same, they become very insular, particularly training departments. And we have all brigades are the same. They all seem to think that what we're teaching is the best we're doing the best we can with what we've got and everything else. Yeah. And it's not until you expose yourself to other brigades and other people. And then and you find good and bad. You find some brigades that go, we still clip together and that sort of things. And I never slag anybody off if they do that. First question I ask them is, to say, well, what's the rationale behind in your service for doing that? Yeah. And they'll say, well, it's for this reason. Oh, I can't argue with that. Yeah. But would it be a little easier if we did? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what instructors should be doing, and we should be.
I have it all the time, yeah.
We need...
Look at the alternatives.
It's my perpetual frustration. I travel around and go, well, so-and-so's doing this, and they're not killing firefighters every week. Mm. So I'm not saying they're doing it right or wrong, and equally you guys will know you've done way more international work than I have. But when I came back from the smoke corn experiments, or when I come back from Germany and I go, well, they don't even do that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They're just... There is a big... I think that analogy fails when we start slagging off the Americans, doesn't it? And when we compare us to them, because there's so many massive differences in flow to the building profiles.
It goes back to the environment thing again.
Yeah.
They have very large open plan, predominantly timber built. Not all of it. I mean, they've got a lot of brick as well, so it's different. Do they have a different attack? Depending on where they are in the country, yes, they do. If you go to New York, they have a different way of looking at it because they got a lot of brownstones, as they call them. They do things slightly differently than they do out in Indiana, wherever the case may be.
Same with Australia, where a lot of theirs are just timber built, you know what I mean, and a lot of single pane and all that sort of stuff. So it is going to have an entirely different ventilation profile. Most of them they go to have already vented and they can get away with going
different stuff. You go and talked about the Swedes, haven't you? Look at their building stock. Mm-hmm. Totally different temperament.
Risk
temperate.
Yeah. So take us to that Swedish analogy. So you went to the college and you were in the depths of, we're still doing the Swedish techniques. This is how we do it. And then I imagine you probably started interacting with some people, maybe even from Sweden, maybe had those interactions. When did you start realising that we only ate half the cherry and brought back a little bit? And
that was before we went to the college. We were doing in West Mids.
Were you able to make any changes in West Mids?
Yeah.
Okay.
We made quite a lot, to be fair.
We were given
Were you popular for it?
quite...
Eventually, the chief was at the time.
It was the opportunity, weren't we, by a chief at the time. Who
But sometimes when you start to change something, it can act, if interpreted differently, as an accusation to those who have gone before you. Because if you have a watch manager and they've been in 20 years, you've been in training 5 years, what the fuck do you know, Dave? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're saying, tell you what, Pete, we're doing this now because of ABC and X, Y, Z. And they go, well, I've been doing this for the last 20 years, Dave, and ain't no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not lost a firefighter yet. All the fires have gone out. That can be some can find it easy, some can just go, well, Soji, we're doing it this way now.
I think it's
how have you dealt with those conversations?
It's looking at it more, at the bigger picture, isn't it? Because you get those watch managers who've got 20 years in experience, and you say, well...
Because you don't want to tell them they've been doing it wrong.
No, exactly. But you bring them in and you say, well, and this is what we ended up doing. When you come for that assessment that we've talked about, where you've got to have this, and tick these boxes, well, I'll tell you what, with that assessment, there it goes. What I want you to do, we'll set you a scenario up. Mm-hmm. You deal with it as you deal with it out there, because that's what we want to see. Because if I can't see what you're doing out there in this safer environment, then I can look at the various aspects of it and say, that's good, we'll take that on board. Is everybody doing that? These bits, if we can make it a bit safer, a bit more effective.
Is that not a capacity thing, though? Because a lot of training centres now, especially like the organisation I work for, very small training department, and they feel like they're an assessment centre. They haven't got time to do training because they're just churning BA records through the
and that's a problem all over, isn't it?
We didn't actually do training. It wasn't training sessions as such. They were our assessments, so our 2-yearly hardware assessment, whatever you want to call it, in West Mids were called and arrived to perform, they called it. So you turned up, you had two forages turned up from your station, or one from another. We would have them for the day, and their assessment, what we did was change their assessment into what Iain was talking about. So they would still be being assessed. Here's your scenario. They're your trips, Pete. You do it how you see fit. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you how you're supposed to do this.
But if I do it how I see fit and it's not in alignment with the procedures, how can I pass the assessment? Unless you've changed the procedures to allow me to do what I actually do on the incident ground.
Procedures are always open for interpretation. Depends on what you've got to,
Depends how loosely they're written.
They are never. The procedures should never actually be, this is my opinion here, you should never actually written procedures to say that you can only ever do this.
Okay.
Because as we've already talked about, there are a million different there's building environment, weather conditions, all sorts of things. So we're going to have to be flexible on how we do that. This is all about being tactical. So I expect you to turn up and go, right, okay, we've got this weather conditions, we've got this particular scenario, this is how we're going to do it. Yeah. Now, you're not breaking any rules, you've not killed anybody, but what you've done is been proactive.
Yeah.
Now, for me as an assessor, I can come back and say to you as a group and say that, you did that really well. Or did you not notice that there was another fire behind you, whatever the case may be? I've not interjected at all on the way through it. I allow them to just run to the end.
Yeah.
As long as you haven't done anything that's fantastically dangerous, right, I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah, but even if it was fantastically dangerous in your interpretation, no one got injured, Dave.
No.
So surely it's still safe.
And does that happen on the road?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
It does, yeah.
So why are we not assessing it then that way?
Well, that's what Dan says sometimes, though, is like you get away with it until you don't. And I believe that to an extent, but also that can sometimes just perpetuate a fear of I need to do exactly what you tell me to
Exactly, yes. Yeah. And it's predominantly, you can't deal with every single incident in one way. No. It can't be done.
I think I should call the podcast Depends sometimes, because most episodes it is about, it all depends.
Of course it is, because there are so many variables across the board. Fuel loadings, weather conditions, building construction, there's all sorts of things there. Yeah. So therefore, the officers in charge and the firefighters have to then be able to deviate
and adapt to what...
Now the training comes in, the good training comes in, is the information that instructors pass on to them is that when we can deviate and what is a safe deviation and what possibly isn't. So let's say, for instance, we've got very volatile hot fire gases and we're in there and they're starting to get even hotter. And Iain says to me, I'll tell you what, let's open the window so we can get some, we can get rid of some of these. I would probably be saying to Ed, not at this point, we're not.
Because?
Well, because if it's getting hotter and it's getting worse and I'm getting a lot of high volume fire gas, the last thing I want to do is introduce air at this point. Okay. So what I'm going to do is perhaps we'll do some aggressive cooling at this and we'll perhaps withdraw slightly to the staircase, whatever the case may be. We'll have another read of it. Do you know what I mean? But unless we ever allow people to make those decisions, firefighters to make those decisions, and we assess everybody on a very linear line, what happens is when they get into a position when it suddenly becomes like that, it's very violent, everything's going on around them, they can't think outside that box.
And they're going to do something different.
And they're going to do something.
But they're going to do it
and that's maybe
in wild.
Yes, and that's maybe when they go, I tell you what, I'm going to open the window. And nobody's there to say, hang on a minute, maybe we shouldn't be doing that at this point.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's a very crude example, but it's,
no.
I think that's what an instructor is about, and this is why we need to develop instructors more about how they can pass on decision making for a firefighter, if you like. It's all right, they have lots of decision making models for officers in charge. Firefighters have a lot of decisions to make inside a structure, a lot. They don't realise it, they do, but they've got to make them fairly quick and they've got to be...
So let's go into some of the decisions that the firefighter makes, because the few ones that come to my head from what you just said there. So if we stick on that Lars, when we're at Manchester, was saying about the firefighter should be the one to make the decisions around ventilation.
Yes.
Which I absolutely agree with. But in a lot of services... Like I gave an example when I was recording with Mike Stackowicz a couple of days ago, where a lot of places it's the incident commander makes the decision, I've got to have a fan in place and I've also got to have the cooling jet or the main jet around on the exhaust. So if you're in there, there's only one seat of fire, you've made your way to the first floor, you're in the bedroom, you're on it, and you're going, fuck me, fucking not in here, I'm on it, I'm starting to apply it, all this is expanding, and so I want to open this window. And you just shout, right, I'm opening an event on the south side or whatever. They go, whoa, let us just put a main jet in place first. And you're in there and you're like,
you want it now.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Because me, as the incident commander outside, I'll give you two a brief. I've never been in there. I'll put me through the door and I can see if that's why I'm not going to go any further. Yeah. So I'm going to give you my snapshot from the external. I've done a bit of a 360, but I've got no idea what's really going on.
That's it. Who's in the best position?
This person presented themselves as the owner.
To make that decision.
I don't know from Adam. They could have been the local drunk, for all I know. They told me a little bit about something, looks similar to next door, so this is what I think. But you know what? The stairs might not be where I thought it was. I think the fire's on the first floor, but I don't really know what's involved.
No.
So really, I always say to him, as soon as you go past that front door, you're the incident commander of that job. You've got to make all the decisions.
Yes. And we don't put enough onus on BA wearers of understanding actually what crucial role they have.
Yeah.
Everything I do as an officer in charge, when I rode in charge, which wasn't very often, thank God, that information is based on what I need quality information from my BA wearers to tell me what the conditions are like, what have we got, and if they say to me, we've got this stuff, I need to open the window to relieve it for myself for all the reasons you're saying, then I've got to go for it. Unless, of course, I've got
some contraindicators.
Some contraindicator of a backdraft in the basement or something or other. Then I might be going, hang on just a second. For this reason.
See that there's dramatic wind direction from that side. So can you open a window on the other side? Because it's going to hit you as soon as you open that. And if you break it instead of open it, I can't reverse that. And you're going to be running away from it.
It's a collaboration, isn't it, between the information I've picked up on the outside to what they're then going to tell.
But in the standard domestic, that's never the excuse that's given for me. They're always like, well, we need to stop it spread into the eaves or a random fire gas ignition on the... I'm like, okay, if we get a fire gas ignition on the exhaust, who cares?
What about...
Who cares? What if it catches the building next door? Okay. Remarkably unlikely. If it does, I'll throw a jet on it in the 3 minutes it takes me to lay one out. It doesn't matter if it's there right now.
No.
If you as the BA, me and you and the BA wearers are inside that room, it's not going to spread to the outside because we're there, we're putting it out.
I'm on what I know to be the only seat of fire.
Where it is. Yes. That's not going to happen. Yeah. So, it's not like we're opening it with nobody in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what is it going to be coming out of the vent when I open it?
Yeah.
not raging flame, because hopefully
It'll just
I'm
we're dealing with it.
It's going to clear it, survivability is going to lift, it's less heat for me, blah, 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 blah.
There's less
All of
exposure
those
for me
things.
and you, stuck in there, there's all the other things. It just doesn't make any sense why you have to go through that process. Now, I've had the same conversations as you have, because when I do TAC vent courses and stuff, you have people say, oh, my brigade won't let me do that, you've got to ask the officer in charge. And again, when you need to go back to your brigade and ask for a real good reason why.
It is beyond a privilege to be able to bring the Firefighters podcast to you, and we are so grateful for every single person that supports, listens, shares, and follows our journey. But here's the honest truth. It takes a colossal amount of time and work to keep the podcast going. And to help us keep doing it, create more, reach more guests internationally, and make the podcast sustainable, we're asking for you to help. And to do this, we've set up a Patreon page. Now, if you've ever wanted to meet a member of the podcast, buy us a beer, buy us a coffee, and you think anything you've ever listened to on the podcast has been worth £3, that's basically what we're asking you for. By joining our Patreon community, you will get access to every single full episode archive we have ever made. Now, hundreds and hundreds of key documents that we've got in there on fire behaviour, firefighter health, cancer risks, incident debriefs, and so much more. So if you feel like you want to join the Patreon crew and help us make this possible, head to patreon.com/TFFPC or check the link in any episode podcast notes.
You are the people that are in a position to say, now we need to vent. Now we need to vent for either just for our own comfort, or we might need to vent because we've isolated something, we need to get 2 people out or everything else. Why should I bring them out to what is already an irrespirable atmosphere when I can make it easier for us and certainly easier for the people I'm trying to bring out?
Yeah. There's nothing more annoying than an instant commander. Then I try and ask you 3 questions down the radio. You can barely hear them anyway. And you're just like, right, ignore it. Right, we're just going to have to deal with this. Or we're going to withdraw because it was too hot. And they go, what was the conditions like? It was bouncing in there. And I wanted to open the window and, right, or send a crew back to the same place then. Well, it's grown since then because I've had to fucking leave it. I mean, I've doused it with water. I tried to close the door, but the door's broken. So, you know what I mean? And that's the frustration.
And I think it comes down then, doesn't it, to what trust are we putting in our firefighters?
So the argument to that is, but you've not got a lot of experience. You're a new firefighter. I've maybe only done a few more years. I'm the incident commander with only 5 years under my belt, but and that's what you find now.
Yes.
You know, I get on a truck and I look in the back and they're all, I'd rather have them sometimes because I'd rather have a mindset than a skill set. They're interested. They really do want to learn. And I love that rather than the salty old firefighter, loads of experience, but it's got the fuck-ums.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I would rather have the younger ones, but you also feel a bit like, just be careful. We're just ready to go in there. Days ain't down
the reins, just
but I want them to be hungry bulldogs, you know, on the reins, and I want to have that appetite for them to let go. But I get worried about them. I get worried about them making decisions without any greater understanding. But then that's
where the training stuff comes in. You've got to train them. And I think otherwise, what happens is we'll tend to bring in policies and procedures that will try to negate the fact that they've got any experience in that. So therefore, we go backwards all the time.
Yeah. And the safest firefighter is the one that never goes in the building.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, you know, the public don't want that, do they?
No, we do need to do the thing.
They're expecting you to turn up knowing what you're doing, what you're doing. That's an expectation, regardless of whether they've been here for 2 years or 10. They don't care. But they see you go to the door. They expect you to do your very best to protect the best what you can. So you go in, and we need to train people for them to be able to do that. If we don't, we always have a procedure where we'll end up where we just stand outside all the time.
Well, I said that to someone the other day and it was more about the decontamination argument, actually, when they were saying, if there's no persons reported, I can't see myself sending anybody in. And I was like, okay, because I get it. Like, okay, no operational decisions worth the cost of a firefighter's life potentially, and exposing them to all the contamination and all that sort of stuff. But I said, but in the absence of realistic training, how are they going to develop that experiential learning? Okay, I get there's no savable life. But I said, like, if we turn up and we're going in every time, unless I can see any immediate reasons it's about to collapse, you're going to go in. Because even if it's a nothing-ish job, I want you to go in and I want you to drag the hose and I want you to do some firefighting and I want you to, whether it's a single room or whatever, I want you to go and get that experience.
Because that experience will then inform your next job and the next one.
So I want to send you in every time. And decontamination for me, 80% of it, 70% of it is behaviour as well. People moan at services and go, well, you haven't got me the latest expensive MSA decon thing, or you haven't got me the best station with the hot cold zone. And I'm like, yeah, but a lot of it is wipe yourself off, make sure you decontaminate, get rid of your
Take all your kit off and wipe it
shower within the
10%.
hour.
Yeah.
All of that, I've already given you provision for. Yeah. So I still want you to go in and do the thing.
I've got a slight thought on the contaminants, and this is my opinion, and my opinion only. It's not based on any.
Yeah.
But is the data set of where people are? We've got a lot of people who are getting cancer through the jobs. There's no doubt. I am not denying that. Is that because certainly when I joined for years, we had very poor habits, and it wasn't necessarily when we were actually fighting the fire. At that point, we were at our most protected. Mm-hmm. When we did the turning over and everything else, we were all stripped down to our T-shirts. We all just had our leggings on. We stood there and ate a load of ash.
I think about all the fire investigation officers. They just walked around for the next 2 days while it's still gassing.
Exactly. So, but now we've already got, like you say, we've got some people say it's not enough, but let's say we've got some policies in place now where you kit your bag, you put your rubber gloves on, all those other things, which is great. We need to now see what the data set looks like from that in another 10 or 15
we're not
years.
We're not going to see that.
But you're going to
still apologising for behaviours of the past.
Yes.
And going, well, I know Dave and he's got cancer now. Yeah, but he was open-ending a skip, every Friday night at 3 a.m. Right. So he was at the car fire, sucking it all in, just covering his face.
And it was our choice not to wear a BI set at a car fire.
Yeah. Well, there might have only been 1 or 2 of them on the truck back then, and people would question why you're trying to stick it on. Just get a stick, youth.
Nobody ever said to you can't wear a BI set at a car fire. I was never told.
We weren't carrying a second set of kit. We were just sitting in the back of the truck with the gassing offset and our kit and high-fiving and all that jazz.
And I'm not saying it's right.
No, but I agree with you.
Okay, we're going to hit pause there. That brings us to the end of part 1 of this 2-part conversation. Across the first episode, loads of big takeaways. I think hopefully the main big one is the simple fact that fire behaviour isn't about buzzwords or rigid rules. So don't let people drag you down that garden path. It's about understanding what's actually happening in front of you, recognising a model that fits, and when it doesn't, and having the confidence to adapt, seek out changes, and actually do what's required to the conditions that you are faced with on the job. Talked about loads of stuff. Training and how the realities can drift apart, why inherited habits persist, and why firefighters need thinking space, not just for procedures, but for when the environment actually starts pushing back and changing what we expected it to do. Got another episode. So in episode 2, we're going to get into more of the practical. We're going to dig into some search patterns, some host techniques. We'll talk about different branches, different flows, and just a whole nother buffet of topics. That's it, right at the sharp end of this job. It's about what's deployable, what's useful, and also some of the things that maybe break down under pressure, and how small tactical decisions can make a big difference inside a compartment, at an incident, on the job. Part 2 drops on Friday. I'll see you next time. Well, that's it for today, folks. Hope you took a lot away from that episode. We started the Firefighters podcast to develop, inspire, connect, motivate, represent, and most importantly, celebrate the world of incredible emergency services operators and the wider sector through this series of wide-ranging conversations. We really love creating this podcast and bringing it to so many people. Did you know you can also find these on YouTube? We do a lot of video podcasts now. You can head over to our YouTube page and follow, subscribe there. And as a final ask from us, whatever platform you're on, please rate the podcast. It really helps us as a key performance indicator to reach more and more people. I've been your host, Pete Wakefield. This has been the Firefighters podcast. And wherever you are in the world, please stay safe, be happy, live with intention, and where possible, please remember and support your firefighters and first responders. I'll see you next time.